Hello everyone. What happened in the US market last Friday? Second, during weekend, what HSBC said about Indian market and more. All this we are going to discuss in our regular pre-market report video for today, 10th November 2025 for the Indian stock market in terms of Nifty and banknifty. First, about what happened in the US market last Friday. We all know at present US government is on shutdown and it crossed the 40 days as of yesterday. And the present key sticking point to open the US government is the disagreement between US Democratic Party and Republican Party over the healthcare subsidy which Trump cancelled. So Democratic Party leader on Friday offered a proposal that they would be willing to pass a funding bill if Republicans back the deal with 1 year extension on healthcare subsidies. Hence, basically, it's a deal to offer the end to the US government shutdown, which in turn increases the hopes among the investors that the US government shutdown could be nearing end, and this optimism made the US market to close positive. Dow Jones increased by 0.16%, S&P 500 was up by 0.13% and Nasdaq fell 0.21%. In case of VIX, it decreased to 2% and moved closer to 19 from 19.5 on Thursday night. Here, please remember, positive US market close. This doesn't address the US market high valuation or AA bubble concerns, so it still exists. And in addition, last Friday, University of Michigan released the US Consumer Sentiment Index, which came just 50.3 for the November month, and it is lower compared to October month as well as the analyst expectation. Just for info, it is lowest since June 2022. Hence, in a way, this limited the positivity of the market. So, just the US government shutdown end-related optimism made the US market to close positive, which then after the market close, Republican senators rejected the offer, and now while I'm making the video, there is an ongoing discussion in the US Senate regarding ending the US government shutdown. So if they achieved any positive outcome from that, then it could be positive for the global momentum. If not, then it's neutral to negative. Anyway, moving to oil, because of the US high oil inventory stock, still the oil price is in the 60s range. At the time of this video, WTI crude trading at 59.75 US dollars per barrel and Brent crude is at 63.5 US dollars per barrel. Regarding Indian ADR, as it is, most stocks closed positive except Wipro and Reliance. However, if we calculate the arbitrage, only HDFC Bank ADR showing positive 0.5% arbitrage difference, whereas all other stocks including ICICI Bank, Infosys, Wipro and Reliance GDR showing flat to no fresh movement. Here, there is one important thing about Infosys. The positive reaction was to the announcement that the record date for the 18,000 crore rupees shares buyback is set for November 14th, which Infosys filed with SEBI. About GIFT Nifty, Saturday early morning, it was trading at 25,550. Considering 70 to 80 points premium, for now it's indicating the gap down opening of 20 to 50 points. It might change as time progresses. So those were the things happened in the dollar market. Now moving to India related info. First, about HSBC statement. During weekend, HSBC released a note saying they're having overweight position on Indian stocks since now it offer better value compared to Chinese stocks. And more importantly, they said India is a good hedge for the AA related valuation. See, these are the two exact points which we discussed on the first November video, why FII might start buying again in Indian market, and HSBC is now echoing the similar view. In addition, they has an year-end 2026 Sensex target at 94,000, which is near 13% higher from the current market level. Furthermore, they said if US relaxed the India tariff means, then they expect Sensex to go further beyond this 94,000 mark. So in short, this is positive sentiment from a global brokerage, potentially which might support the Indian market today. Then second, about India's October month consumer inflation expectation. It's same as what we discussed in detail during week ahead video. But for everyone benefit, repeating quickly, India's October month consumer inflation data is due on Wednesday, November 12th. And according to Reuters.com, they are projecting India's inflation to come as multi-year low, just 0.48% in October, which is much lower than 1.54% in September and lower than the RBI's 2% target. So if the inflation comes like that, then this will significantly increase the pressure and expectation on RBI to cut the interest rate in the next MPC meeting, which is due on December 5th. And potentially this expects to influence the market positively until Wednesday, particularly banking and rate sensitive stocks. Then third, about anti-dumping duties on glass imports. Inside the Indian government, there is a department, India's trade watchdog, who last Friday recommended Indian government to extend the anti-dumping duties on glass imports from Malaysia for another 5 years, which Indian government first imposed on 2020. I mean, the Malaysian glass price are up to 40% less compared to Indian manufacturing. So they gave the warning that ending tariffs could trigger renewed dumping and hurt domestic producers who are already affected by cheap imports. Hence, from the stock market perspective, extending these duties is positive for Indian glass manufacturers like Asahi India Glass, Saint Gobain India and Gold Plus Glass Industry. So we can say all these stocks to be on focus. Then fourth, about Bajaj Auto quarterly results. Year over year, their revenue increased around 14% and profit increased 24%. Hence, the top line financial beats the analyst expectation. Here, it's mainly driven by strong export growth of 19.2%, which in a way offsets the local weak domestic demand. Hence, the overall sales increased 5.9%, while domestic motorcycle sales fell 4.6%, an improvement from the prior quarter's 8% decline. So, Bajaj Auto expects to be on positive focus today due to strong results. As a summary, US market closed positive on hopes of government shutdown ending. However, consumer sentiment fell to the lowest since June 2022, which is concerning, and Republican senators rejected the Democratic Party offer. Just for info, now this is becoming big. US government shutdown reached 40 days and over 1,500 flights have been cancelled in US for the second day in a row. So I think market is starting to feel the pressure. Hence, we can say this shutdown related influence expects to drive the market in the next few days. So please look out for any development since the situation is very fluid. However, domestically, HSBC released the report positive on Indian stocks and India's inflation is expected to fall to multi-year low, which now will increase the RBI rate cut expectations. Overall, domestically, things are looking positive, but globally, things are weak and fluid. Then about institution, in the cash market after 6 trading sessions, finally FII turned as net buyers. They net bought for 4,600 crore rupees and DII also net buyers. They net bought for 6,700 crore rupees. Moving to participant wise open interest analysis, last Friday index future open interest increased 4%, whereas on the index options 3.6% new call option open interest were added and 24.2% new put option open interest were added. Because of more put option open interest addition, the PCR ratio increased to 0.94 from 0.78. Then stance wise in the index options, client is still holding net 9% open interest favoring bullish position, whereas FII and proprietary traders having net 6.1% and 2.4% of their open interest respectively favoring bearish position. In case of future index, from being majority on the short side, proprietary traders turn to long side. Hence, at present, both client and proprietary traders having 69 and 53% of their open interest respectively on the long side, whereas on the other hand, FII is holding 87% of their open interest on the short side. Then, as per stock open interest, Amber Industries, ABB, Blue Star, Cummins India, Divi's Lab, Mankind Pharma, Manappuram, NHPC and Apollo Hospital are some of the 55 stocks that got an increase in open interest along with a negative close, indicating the short build-up. On the other hand, Adani Green, Britannia, Fortis, Hindalco, Alchem Lab, Indian Bank and Aker Motors are some of the 73 stocks that got an increase in open interest with a positive price close, which means these stocks got the long build-up. About the things to look out, earnings-wise, Bajaj Finance, Vodafone Idea, Aether Energy, ONGC and Solar Industries are scheduled to release their results. Here, Bajaj Finance quarterly results is the important one. It will influence the whole NBFC sector. In addition, Lenskart stock will list on the Indian stock exchanges today. And then macro-wise, nothing that I'm aware of is scheduled to release today that could influence the Indian market. Coming to technical, Last Friday, Nifty opened 80 points gap down and was negative in the morning, but it started to increase and thus it managed to recover most of the day's loss and closed near flat. Thus, on the daily chart, Nifty formed a bullish candle with a minor upper shadow and a long lower shadow, indicating strong buying interest at lower level and some pressure at higher level. In addition, it remained below short-term moving averages and the middle of the Bollinger Band, but still held above the medium and long-term moving averages. Furthermore, RSI was at 49 and MACD remained below their reference lines, indicating bearish momentum. Hence, if Nifty managed to hold 25,300 in the upcoming sessions, a gradual up move towards 25,650 to 25,800 and then 26,000 could be possible. On the other hand, a decisive break below this level could drive the Nifty towards 25,000. In case of Bank Nifty, it opened 160 points gap down but started to increase throughout the session after an initial volatility, then closed at near 57,880 and outperformed Nifty. Thus, on the daily chart, Bank Nifty formed a bullish candle with both upper and lower shadow, indicating a positive trend. In addition, it also climbed back above short-term moving averages and the middle of the Bollinger Band, with RSI moving to 60, though it still maintained a bearish crossover, while MACD remained below the reference line. The 20-day expansion moving average zone of 57,400 to 57,300 expect to be immediate support, and the drop below 57,300 could push the Bank Nifty towards 56,800, while resistance could be at around 58,200 to 58,300. Regarding the options front, the maximum call option openers was at 26,000 strike, followed by 25,700 and 25,600, with the maximum new call option rating at 25,500, 25,400 and 26,000 strike. On the other hand, the maximum put option openers was at 25,300 strike, followed by 25,000 and 25,400, with the maximum new put option rating at 25,300, 25,400 and 25,350 strike. Thus, from options data, it's indicating potential resistance at 25,700 to 25,800 level and suggesting support at 25,400 to 25,300 level. So that's all in this video. Hope you got some useful information. Please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video so that it will help me beat the YouTube algorithm and also motivate me to do more. Please don't make any investment decision based on this, as I'm not a SEBI registered advisor. I'm doing this for me and viewers' educational purpose only. Thanks for watching.